الأخوة الفلسطينيين على هالكلام، بس كل الصحافة اللبنانيين، الصحفيين اللبنانيين كلهم من خلال كل الأسبوع قالوا اللي أنا حكيته، يعني إنه فعلا النظام السوري كان أسوأ على العالم العربي من إسرائيل.
طب اللي عارضوك هذول حكوا لك وجهة نظرهم؟
إنهم متصورين هن إنه خلاص بعد القضية الفلسطينية ما في قضية، هي أم القضايا وكل شيء. كل شيء معلش ما عندهم مشكله، كان انه النظام السوري عم يقتل بالشعب السوري. عم يحكوا لي انه بفلسطين ما بتقدر تنتقل من قريه لقريه، يعني كانه هالشيء بسوريا الانتقال كان مسموح ولا. يعني بس اعطيك مثال، بالثمانينيات تروح من الشام لحما، حما بعيده عن دمشق 160 مايلز، تعرف كانت تاخذ معنا 4 ساعات 4 اورز. كل ما بدك تفوت لمدينه بيوقفك حاجز، بيطلعوا على الباص هويات هويات. هي زي كان باصك اول واحد 15 مينتس، بس اذا انت صفيت بعد 4 5 باصات بين ما يجي دورك بدك ساعة. عرفت علي شلون؟ هي قبل ما تفوت لحمص، بعد ما تطلع من الشام بيوقفك أول حاجز، قبل ما تفوت لحمص بيوقفك ثاني حاجز، بعد ما تطلع من حمص بيوقفك ثالث حاجز، بعد ما توصل أول ما توصل لحمص بيوقفك رابع حاجز. يعني عم بقول لك كنا عايشين بسوريا مثل ما عايشين بفلسطين، يعني وأسوأ. يلي بينزل من الباص، اللي بياخذوه من الباص ما عاد يرجع، ما عاد يشوف أهله. شفتوا الصور اللي اجت من سجن سدنايا؟ يعني شفتوا ولا الصور؟ يعني نساء فاتوا على السجن، حبلوا بالسجن وولدوا بالسجن وعايشين هن اولادهم بالسجن، والعياذ بالله.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمه
نحكي
الله.
كجزائري طيب، عربي يا أخي نحن فرحنا القضية السورية.
الحمد لله.
الله يجيز، والله فرحنا، فرح مع الإخوة
الحمد لله.
السوريين هنا في
الحمد لله.
هيوستن. والحمد لله يا أخي،
الحمد لله.
سقط نظام. ثم كلامك صحيح يا أخي، ومبروك، وإن شاء الله ربي يحفظ سوريا
امين.
وأهلها يا أخي، ويرزقهم كل خير. ولكن يا أخي أيضا القضية الفلسطينية هي قضية المسلمين والعرب ككل.
مزبوط، بس اذا
هذا
ما
هذا لا ينهي هذا.
مزبوط مزبوط، بس
بارك
اذا
الله
ما
فيك.
بتتحرر دمشق وما بتتحرر القاهره وما بتتحرر بغداد لن تحرر فلسطين.
كلامك
صلاح
صحيح.
الدين الايوبي من 1000 سنه فهم هالحكي.
كلامك صحيح.
صلاح
كلام
الدين
صحيح.
الايوبي حرر سوريا
مم.
وحرر مصر قبل ما يحرر فلسطين من الصليب.
كلامك صحيح. كلام
بقى
صحيح.
يعني نحن عم نضيع وقتنا وقت
يا-
بنصبر على نظام استبدادي مشان تحرير فلسطين.
يا-
الامور معكوسه تماما، الفكر كله معكوس.
يا. كلامك صحيح.
جزاكم الله خير. خليني اتصل مع الدكتور سهيل مشان ما اضوع لكم الوقت.
ضيع لنا الوقت يا أخي واحكي لنا كمان.
ال-
إذا هذا بتحسبه تضييع وقت، هذا موضوع مهم كثير.
يعني معك انا، بس يلي صار
يعني
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 اليوم
من غيرك كمان الأسبوع اللي فات حكينا بالموضوع.
اي نو، قال لي الدكتور سهيل وبعت وصلني التسجيل، يا اي نو. الاوضاع الشعب كله سعيد، يعني كل الشعب السوري بكافة أطيافه 99% من الشعب سعيدين، يعني ما بنقدر ننكر هالشيء. يعني في شوية تحفظات عند أخوتنا المسيحية، عند العلوية، عند كل الأقليات غير المسلمة، في شوية تحفظات. بس إن شاء الله القيادة الإدارة العمليات العسكرية يلي فرجت صورة نظيفة عن الإسلام. اليوم سمعت أنا القائد هذا الجولاني عم بيقول نحن ما بدنا ننشر الإسلام بالسيف، يعني الإسلام ما بينتشر بالسيف.
لا
اليوم
إكراه في الدين.
يعني بمعنى هالكلام انه اذا ما اقنعت العالم شو الفائده يعني. شوف بالسعوديه كان عندهم جماعه الامر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر، ما بعرف هذول شو عملوا يعني. خلال 40 50 سنه ما عملوا شيء بالسعوديه، يعني تجربه فاشله. ليش نحن نكررها بسوريا؟
الو، السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمه الله وبركاته.
أنا اسمي نضال الشاعر،
يا اهلين
وأنا
تفضل.
أول مرة بشارك،
يا اهلين وسهلين.
وسعيد جدا إني أتعرف على الشباب كلكم. أنا من فلسطين،
يعني
والدتي من الشام. بس حاب أسأل أخي، معلش، عفوا، شو اسمك؟
انا ابو عبد الله، اسمي باسم صهيوني.
باسم. عاشت الأسامة أبو عبد
يعني
الله. طبعا ألف ألف مبروك
الله يبارك.
لأهلنا في الشام، وأنتوا أهلنا.
يا اهلين.
الله
وانتم أهلنا،
يحييك.
يعني
طبعا
ابي
طبعا.
وعمامي عاشوا بفلسطين. يعني فلسطين بال 1900 لل 1920 كانت مثل دبي هلا. كان
نعم نعم نعم.
كان كل السوريين يروحوا يشتغلوا بفلسطين،
الله
كان
الله
في
يحفظك.
مصاري يعني كانت.
حابب أسألك أبو عبد الله،
تفضل يا اخي.
ايش التحدي بالنسبة للشعب السوري خلال السنة هذه؟
الأنظمة العربية.
ممتاز ممتاز.
أنا
وإيش ثاني؟ طب على الصعيد الداخلي؟
طبعا الفقر بسوريا، أخي دكتور مهندس معاشه $30 بالشهر.
يعني أنت يعني الوضع الاقتصادي هو أكبر تحدي بالنسبة
بس يحلوا مشكلة الكهرباء بسوريا، يحلوا مشكلة المي، يحلوا مشكلة المازوت البنزين، ويرفعوا المعاشات، بترتاح الشعب شوي، بيرتاح شوي. هذا أهم تحدي، والتحدي الداخلي. Sorry, we have people, they don't speak Arabic, Brother Jalal, he's joking.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
I'm
he
so
just
sorry.
joined us, he's the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
one with
I am so
Arabic.
sorry. I was just asking about the challenges Syria
We have a
is
lot
going
of
to face.
challenges. Syria, after 60 years of dictatorships, the Syrian problem started from 1958, when Jamal Abdel Nasser took control of Syria. The root for all the problems in Syria started there, from that time, from 1958, 1959. Syria at that time was like Germany toward Europe right now. Syria was toward the Arab world that time.
Yes. Syria history is mashallah يعني full of successful stories يعني in trade, in business, in so many aspects يعني in economy يعني. That's true. That's very
Can
true.
we, since he has only a few minutes left, can we focus on going forward with Syria, if you don't mind?
We don't know. We don't know. What happened in Syria is very quick, was suddenly. We don't know what will happen. We don't know what the Turk told Al-Jolani before this operation, what he has to do. We don't know what the American told him. It's absolutely, it's not few soldiers liberate Damascus. I think the picture is clear, if all the Syrian erupt against the regime will not collapse. Dr. Ghannouchi, in his Friday prayer before yesterday, what he said, without the revolution, the regime will not go. But the revolution didn't let the regime go. I hope I say it well, people understand it. The revolution was very important for the regime to go, but the revolution did not let the regime go.
Also, they needed a revolution to let the regime go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
the regime didn't go because the revolution.
Yeah, so they can say it's from the people.
Yeah, it's nobody can understand why the regime did what he did to Syria. It's unbelievable, the damage.
I think one pertinent consideration is, are there similarities between what happened December 12 in Syria and what happened August 15, 2021 in Afghanistan? There clearly are some similarities in the way a regime was toppled, obviously through intervention by foreign powers. But the makeup of that relationship between foreign powers and the internal forces, that may not be exactly the same or similar. But the general map, I think, is the similarity of the general approach is pretty much there.
Yeah, we understand it, What's happening in Syria has happened in Afghanistan before.
So will that explain then, because in Afghanistan, nobody recognized the new leadership, Taliban. In Syria, it seems many countries, including the US, are willing to recognize the new government. And, but I'm sure there is stuff behind it, not just recognize. The US is already open about it. If they do this and this and this and this and that, we will recognize them. And so it's a lot more difficult. So they have to be really smart and tread the waters very carefully. And I think this Ahmed Sha'ar, That's the way he's speaking. It's almost he's trying to يطمن. How do you say طمن in English? He's trying to make a lot of people comfortable in
أحمد الشرع.
Ahmed al-Shara. He's trying to make a lot of people feel comfortable going forward, and I think he's just playing wise and smart right now. And may Allah help him and the Syrian people. It's a very difficult situation.
Bassem, if you don't mind, I just have a comment, and I really don't know if I'm right or wrong, and I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just trying to it's like we all happy that Syria it got ready of this regime and the dictatorship,
Alhamdulillah.
and everybody deserves to live freely and democratic and elect their representatives and not what Syria had all these years. But in the meantime, I really don't know where this conflict between, it's like it started before even getting ready of Bashar, the conflict of the Syrian-Palestinian issue, and I don't know who's behind it. This is one. And second is the way that you mentioned it. I'm not trying to turn the topic Palestinian Syrian, but all of what I'm trying to say, just based on what you just said in the last minute, it makes sense for the Palestinians who love Syria and who love the best for Syria to be concerned, because there is it's like you just mentioned, there is too many outsiders involved. There is about 35 different groups in Syria fighting, and nobody knows where they're coming from and who is and how they're gonna unite together. It's like there is some kind of concern about without Syria, yes, without Syria, you're not gonna have future in the Middle East. Yeah. Without a peaceful Syria, you're not gonna have a future in the Middle East. So all of what I'm saying is it would be really better. It's I know how much you love Palestine. I know where you're coming from. I'm against I'm against any Palestinian to be involved in another country's policies and politics. But I'm open to be, and I should be allowed to be concerned as a Palestinian and as an Arab, as a whatever you want to say, as a human being, about the future of the humans in Syria, the people in Syria, and the country of Syria. And I should have some kind of opinion or concern just because there is nothing clear. And you just admitted that. Do you agree with that or not?
Of course, brother, of course. Yeah, of course, as a Syrian and as a human, of course. We all want good. The better is Syria, the better will be Palestine. That's the way I look at it. A stronger, free Syria will be good for Palestine.
Okay, brother Nidal, who killed more Palestinian, the Syrian regime or the Israelis?
To me, I can tell you that I cannot equate, the Syrian regime atrocities compared to Israelis, because for one simple reason, it's so hard to have somebody from your own country, from your own blood, do such atrocities. We cannot compare it. We cannot. To me, this is my opinion. We cannot
toward
say
Palestinian. I am not talking toward Syrian, toward Palestinian.
I think if I have been in a situation like this, it will be worse to see myself, Arab guy from the Middle East, putting me in prison compared to Israeli. It's worse because we are from the same area, from the same blood, from the same background. I understand my situation with the Israelis. That's the equation is very clear. But I cannot imagine somebody from my own background, almost same blood, is doing this to me. So we cannot compare.
Okay, let us welcome Dr. Suhail, and he can elaborate more. Dr. Suhail, Assalamu alaikum.
نعم. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Dr. Suhail, before I interrupt you, I would really love for Bassem since he opened that discussion, to present his opinion, and then you comment on it. Sorry, Dr. Suhail, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm trying to give him a chance to explain to us, because he knows so much about what's happening in Syria, or he has his own opinion. I don't know about.
Let us talk about it next week, okay? Let us see what will happen in Syria this week, you know.
But this is, you cannot, I'm sorry, Bassem, but you cannot just say, and I'm sorry, Dr. Suhail, I'm sorry, but Bassem, we are brothers. You said, like, some people don't like what happened. I said it's maybe because it's concern. You agree that there is a concern. So why there is this kind of like,
it's not one concern, Muhammad.
Right? I'm
not
sorry.
One concern. It's not one concern. We have concerns. You
Of
have the
course,
Kurds. They
of
have
course,
you have the Kurds in Syria. They have their concern.
of
The
course,
Christian, they have their concern. The Ismail, you know, it's Israel has concern. Jordan has concern. Everybody has concerns, and we have to pay the price for all these people. Nobody looking for the Syrian people. Everybody look for his interest.
That's not. It's like, as a Palestinian, I am looking for a free Syria. I'm looking for a stable regime. I'm looking for.
But you are like me. You talking like Syrian.
No, we talking like Arabs and Muslims
okay,
that
you are
love
talking
the
like-
Syrian people. That's how he's talking.
That's true too. We are
Yeah.
Muslims.
Yeah, no, we're not talking like Syrians. We love what's happening for Syrians, and we really wish for a free and strong Syria, inshallah. But the challenges are many. And maybe the Dr. Ghannouchi can speak to that a little bit, hear from his, you know, because what happened to other Arab countries.
Go ahead, Dr. Suhail, please.
طيب السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. ليش أنا درايفنج بس
وعليكم
بسم
السلام.
الله
وعليكم السلام.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه. And things are not simple, but they can be simplified. There is one thing that there is no argument about it, I believe, is that every Syrian and everybody on earth should be happy with the downfall of this notorious bloody regime. I mean, this is something that does not even require discussion. I mean, it shouldn't be even on the table. So we are all very happy. We should celebrate. We should congratulate. And at least in this circle, and as I said, every human being who has any conscience will be very happy of this one of the worst regimes. So put that on the side, and we need to move to understand what happened, why, and what can we do about it. I wish that all our discussion on political issue will focus only on these two questions. Understand and figure out what you can do. Understand what happened and why, and how, and then what is it that we can and we should do. Now, because we fool ourselves if we say that this is a revolution that brought down a regime. That's not true. Of course, the regime would not have collapsed without the Thawra, without revolution. I mean, he would have been in place now, and its sponsors will be happy with him. But it is a revolution that made him exhausted and weakened him to the point that became big burden to support him, and let others consider to let him go. So it's not, I mean, things would have been much different if he collapsed on 2012 or 13 when the revolutions were at its peak. So this is something that happened because of a deal between global and regional powers. And it is closer to a coup d'etat, inqilab, more than like a revolution. Why it's important to understand this? Because we want to know whoever has done this, what's their plan? What's their agenda? And then we talk about our agenda. the agenda of the Syrian people, the agenda of everybody who loves Syria, cares about it, etc. So these people, it is the American, the Turkish, the Israeli package with the Julani. That's the package. And I mean, in my humble opinion. And everybody is getting what they want. And the plan, it's being unfolding in front of our eyes. For the Americans, I mean, all of them agreed on one thing: collapse of Assad and kicking out Iran. That's something that is in agreement between them, and it is in agreement with us. That's where the Thawra revolution, the Syrian people, intersect with these people, with these powers, which is the common. We also want Assad to be down, and the Syrian people wants Iran to be down, to be out. Now, what's everybody is going to get if the Syrian people don't do something significant and quickly? This is what is happening based on previous experience, based on what we see already. The Syria is being removed from the Soviet and Russian sphere to the American sphere. That's the biggest prize for the United States. For the biggest prize, Syria is a very important country, and to remove it, to take it away from the Russian to the American sphere, that's a big achievement, big strategic achievement. For the Turkish, of course, refugees, having a regime that is friendly in Syria, having more influence, and also a lot of economic interest. With Syria, when they have a friendly regime, and then the reconstructions, etc. So the Turkish are getting, and also keeping the Kurdish under control. So the Kurd under control. So the Turkish are getting what they want. For Israel, so it's already, they got already what they want, cutting the line between Iran and Lebanon, reducing the power of Iran and putting it more and more in check. And then what they done recently, they got rid of the Syrian infrastructure, because now it used to be in the hands of under control, because it used to be in the hands of a regime who is cooperating with Israel. Forget about whatever it's saying in the public, but Israel was comfortable with these weapons in the hands of Assad's regime. But now it is not comfortable. Doesn't know who's going to get hold of those weapons, so they destroyed them. And then they gained this territory, and especially this strategic territory. Julani got the power. That's what he wants. I mean, now there is a lot of efforts to make him great leader and the genius who has been planning this for years, etc. All of this is nonsense. He got the power like the people before him, like the people in other Arab countries who come to power with the same deal. And I'm going to be talking about the deal. They being brought to power to make sure that nothing significant changes, that only things that are symbolic can change, but in terms of policy, in terms of the interest, global and regional interest, nothing is going to change. If, again, I keep saying, if the Syrian people don't move quickly and do something significant to disrupt those agendas and to push their agenda that they revolted for it, which is to have a free, democratic, just, fair country that is, and have real development. And the Syrian people are capable. These people, they went to Germany, they made big difference to the point that Germany now is worried about Syrian leaving. What's going to happen? They went to Egypt and they took some places that were deserted before, and they really made a huge development in them. So the Syrian people and the Syrian resources allows to create a great success story. But that's not the plan. Just keep in mind, if you're going to wait if the Syrian people are going to be waiting and watching, the plan is what I mentioned. The plan, they're going to take them into the route, the Tunisian route and the Egyptian route, which is transition, democratic transition, intiqal demokrati. And it's going to be like the peace process. It's a process that never ends. So you enter into democratic transition that will never end until the people become sick and tired of democracy, and they will say they hate it, and they even look for stability even under dictatorship. And that's what happened in Iraq, that's what happened in Libya, that's what happened almost in every Arab Spring country. That the majority of people are saying, "Wala yawm min ayamak," that they start really having nostalgia to the old days when there was stability. So the plan, if it's going to continue, it's very obvious that replacing Assad with Julani, replacing the Ba'ath party with the Tahrir al-Sham, to rule the country almost in the same way. And surprisingly, because in the beginning, one would think that Syria will be pushed into civil war or division, but it seems that's not the plan. It seems that there is some agreement to avoid that and to have stability. Even Israel, which loves to see a civil war in Syria and the division, it seems that they are probably, they prefer and they're more okay with a stable regime that will normalize and strike a peace deal with the Israel. And I think that's part of the deal. That's part of the arrangement. All of this is my analysis. My humble analysis is that even though it was expected in the beginning to push things toward civil war, and Syria is a very, very ready for that, very ready for a civil war. But it seems that that's not, because Turkey does not like that, doesn't want another wave of refugees. And it seems that Israel itself, which, as I said, loves to see civil war and this complete destruction of Syria, it seems that they are probably prefer stable, friendly regime that will join the wave of normalization. And that's also is suiting the Arabs regime, who will support this direction and will even invest in the reconstructions of Syria as part of this plan. What the Syrian people are going to get? Nothing. Only what they got already, which is big, of course. Regaining your freedom is not something small. Freeing prisoners is not something small. Removing foreign occupation, because it was mainly occupied in de facto Russian, etc. It was more direct occupation, was not even indirect. Maybe they will move to indirect now occupation, but what they're going to get is what you see, what the Tunisian have got before and the Egyptian, and that even that may not even last, which is that you can say whatever you want. That's the kind of freedom that the Tunisian got, and then they lost, because this transition, when it lasts very long and it is chaotic, people will welcome dictatorship to come back. And that's what happened in Egypt and what happened in Tunisia, unfortunately. And Syria remains also candidate for a civil war that can happen spontaneously or can be instigated. But it seems that's not the plan, as I'm doing my best to try to read what happened and where things are heading. I believe there is a small, short window for the Syrian to do something significant, to revive the spirit of the revolution, to develop their own agenda, and to push for it against this agenda that is being implemented very quickly. You see the work that is being done on Julani to prepare him to be the next Assad and the next president. It's amazing. I mean, every day there is a progress. Every day there is a progress. Yesterday they were talking about, are you going to be the president or are you going to nominate yourself? Are going to be a candidate? And already, every day there is a step toward preparing the ground for that to happen. So
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'll come down.
so this is what this is my analysis, and I really believe that there is a golden opportunity because this situation that is still fluid, this momentum that we see in Syria, the resources that are in Syria. Syria is one of the probably the only or one of the few Arab countries that can have self-sufficiency in terms of agriculture and food. Has a lot of resources. Syrian people are very capable. Are they going to develop an agenda and push for it and become a factor? Because nowadays they're not a factor. Nobody's planning for the Syrian people. No,
Sheikh.
not the Arab countries, and nobody is planning for the Syrian people.
Sheikh, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Can we assume kind of similar to Sulh al-Hudaybiyah that Hayat al-Tahrir and al-Shara, I guess that's his name, Ahmed al-Shara, al-Julani, they are basically not part of the plan, but they leveraged the plan, kind of went along, and maybe now that they are established, they can quickly move the transition, like you said, quickly to what's best for the Syria, like free Syria for all, versus, if I misunderstood you, that like a revolution against Jolani maybe to really establish with the Syrian war, versus
I
working
didn't
with
hear you,
them.
brother. Can you repeat, please? Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Can we assume, or is it, based on, instead of Julani being part of the plan, maybe knowing the plan, and just like Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, basically going along to gain freedom, and then he's got a short window to work with the Syrian people to establish what's best for Syria, to establish freedom, versus he's basically another dictator that the Syrians need to go against.
That's a nice dream, but I'm sorry to say, never happened, never will. That's this تمسكن حتى اللي انت تتمكن, like go along until you have power and then you do what you want. They tried it, and a lot of people who have much more experience in politics than Julani, who are much more grounded, who had real movements and came to power and did that, and it did not work. The people, the powers that you're dealing with are not stupid. They're not naive to the point that you can trick them that, okay, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to be there in charge, and then I will do what I want. And unfortunately, a lot of people fooled themselves with this idea, and they discovered later on that's not what's going to happen.
Well, I had asked that question to Syrian brothers, and basically their answers, from Algeria, so, and I'm kind of aware what happened to Tunisia and Egypt and all that. The question is that the experience he had in Idlib and previously in Iraq is kind of helping him be more pragmatic, dealing with the powers that be. Till he gains.
The pragmatism and his love for power brought him to this point.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Dr. Suhail.
Naam. Yes.
So now, from my understanding of what you just said, that maybe Jaish al-Tahrir and Ahmed Shara is going to be the next president. But don't you think if he's becoming a president and you guys can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but don't you think when this is happening and then the Syrians start to find out there is no democracy, it's basically the same, let's say, assuming it's happening the same way. It's just another maybe a group controlling the country, and there's no democracy. Don't you think this is will ignite a conflict inside
I mean,
Syria?
it's very hard to imagine exactly what's going to happen, and I'm still debating between preparing the ground for Julani to be president, or the Murshid, another Khomeini, or like now they're called him Qaid al-Am, and he can put like a puppet government that he managed, the Iranian style. So I'm not sure whether that's the plan, or a fake democracy where there are parties and they struggle for power, etc. But there is a major power who will create some coalition government to try to fool the Syrian people, have some representation of different sects or tawaif and different parties, but he calls the shots. Nobody can tell exactly where things are heading, but what I'm worried about is when that moment comes, Brother Nidal, the momentum of the Syrian has gone. I mean, the Syrian, when they want to oppose that, when they see that trend clearly, now we can see it from very far away distance, but when it becomes very clear that we are talking about replacing Assad with Julani and Ba'ath with Hayat Tahrir, and that's it. Yani. There will be no momentum for revolution. People will start to be tired about this fluid situation where there is no peace, no stability, no services, nothing. And then I'm afraid that there will be also division, because the moment they take you into this route of transitional democracy, it means there will be parties formed and everybody wants to get a piece of the cake. And then the worst thing that happens to any people, not just to the Syrian, is losing the momentum and being divided. Because the Syrian
Dr.
people
Suhail,
now, just let me, the Syrian people now, the golden opportunity that is there now is there is a momentum, there is a high spirit, and there is unity. There is unity as they celebrate the downfall of the regime. The problem is that this momentum does not last long.
That's
if
true.
it is not channeled toward a vision and platform. And this unity, we have seen it, and we have seen the leftists and the Islamists and the nationalists in Tunisia in the street together. We are brothers, we are Tunisians, we forgot about all our differences. But then the moment this process of like election and forming parties and writing constitution, etc., started, we have seen the whole people divided, like become Tunisian that doesn't have sects, became like sectarian, like مجتمع طائفي. So
the story of Tunisia, Dr. Suhail, just to add to what you said, I think also like the international forces and the international players, they basically pressured Tunisia when it comes to the economy, when it comes to their their currency, when it comes to their so basically they preoccupied Tunisia with a lot of economy pressure, and can easily be played in Syria. The same thing happened in Egypt, and they will let people. Number one issue is economy, and the living well, how to live, how to survive.
Yeah, I mean,
so they will let go of democracy. They will let go anything else. We just wanted to survive. Do you think this is going to happen again in Syria?
That's the plan. I mean, that's the plan. Is always push people to the point they hate democracy, they hate ثورة, they يكفروا بها, يعني they start يعني, and then they just look for stability, because that's the majority of people. The majority of people, they love freedom and democracy, but on top of stability and development and tenure, not instead of.
So, Sheikh,
I mean,
then can you
if
go
I
back
cannot
to...
put, if I cannot, I mean, in Tunisia, they start using it as jokes. If I cannot put food on the table, what I'm going to do with the freedom and election and parties?
Sheikh, if we can go back to your second question, once we know the plan, is figure it out what should we do? So basing on
And
what
I'm,
you said, how can they leverage the momentum and the unity they have now and not
and
commit the mistake of Tunisia? So what should be done?
if you put, we have a plan and the project that is being executed, and many steps of it already done, and there are other steps that are being executed. Now the stakeholder, the owner of it's the people themselves. Now these people, they have all the power, nobody can stop them if they become organized and they have an agenda. The problem is that the main player is not on the table nowadays. The main player, which is the Syria and the Syrian people, is not on the table of those powers who are deciding where things are going. So you ask me, if the Syrian people manage somehow to develop an agenda or a project or a dream or a Syrian dream, and then sell it to people and rally the people around it, and then try to organize people at all levels, including the local levels, and that's doable. In this situation, it's still doable before the new scenario settles, because then it becomes difficult. And before the momentum dies and before the division starts, if they manage to do that and they start a parallel process, not wait for this political process because it's going to bring them nothing. They start a parallel process and they start opposing peacefully through demonstration and civil disobedience and everything, any step that is heading in the wrong direction. When they see a step that is not achieving their dream, that they sacrificed for a lot. I mean, I don't know, they're talking about hundreds of thousands of people were killed and died and martyred, and then millions of people were exiled. This is a very heavy price to come out of this just with the freedom of, I can say whatever I want in a coffee shop or in my house or on Facebook. That's a very heavy price that was paid, and the only thing that is that makes it worth it is if we get really fair, free, democratic country, etc. So if people start to organize and start that parallel process to say, we are here, نحن هنا, don't decide for us. We're not going anywhere. We didn't make a revolution for you to shape things up for us. And then start pushing for transitional عدالة انتقالية. That's, by the way, most revolutions, what will make or break a revolution is the transitional justice or عدالة انتقالية. If it is done right, increases the chance of success. If it is done wrong, it be a major blow for the revolution. عدالة انتقالية, we have very bad example in Iraq, which is اجتثاث البعث, that everybody who has anything to do and worked with Ba'ath, worked with out, and then some of them are killed and jailed and etc. That's terrible model, because that will plunge the country in a chaos. And on the other extreme in Tunisia, where there was no accountability whatsoever, حصل خير, نحن إخوة, توافق, no problem, no محاسبة. No, not the people who stole the money, or the people who committed atrocities. So between these two, you're going to have an effective model of عدالة انتقالية. That's something that people should push for. And then if the people are organized and mobilized the same way they were during the revolution, and if they did it under that brutal regime, they can do it now. Because now we have the chance. It's very fluid situation. Then they can try to force things to move in their direction, or at least slow down and oppose and block the agenda that it's becoming clear every day. And keep in mind that this fluid situation, there will be many players in Syria. Almost every intelligence that you can think of will have a hand in what's going on. And they will recruit people and they will play. So don't underestimate the fluid situation is bad and dangerous, but it creates a window of opportunity. If you seize it, you can get things done. If you let it go, then things will be decided for you, and you're not going to like the outcome. After a year or 2 years from now, the Syrian people will wake up on a major disappointment and say, we did not sacrifice for this.
So, subhanallah, when you were talking about, it sounds very good, you know, from an idea standpoint. You know, like we had Al-Hirak in Algeria, was pretty much organic, and they were trying to pressure the government to change. They kind of were able to change a little bit, but the biggest problem with it was a lack of united leadership with the united vision. So how can Syria come up with something like that in this such situations? It has to be something local, sincere, united with a common vision, like free and democratic Syria for all, and hit the streets regularly to pressure the government to really do what he says he would do.
Yeah, in this situation, the model for us should be what the people have done in the face of colonization. يعني حركات التحرر وطني. That's the model. When you mobilize people, at that time it was for استقلال.
Yes.
What mobilized all the Algerian people? What made them forget all their differences? What made the young and the old and everybody helped with whatever they can? It's a one common dream. If you can develop that dream and sell it to the Syrian people, that we want to live with dignity, want to live with freedom, we want to live with a country that is fair, that is transparent, that is where we real citizenship, not ra'aya of anybody, that this is doable, that other people have done it, and we are now not less than them. And start to organize at the neighborhood level. Same thing that the liberation movement have done. Organize with the cells or groups at the local level, at all levels, and we have only one objective. We don't care about ideology now. We don't care about parties. We don't care about sects. We are not at the position to fight for power. We are at the position to free and build our countries. And then we will talk about what system, and we'll talk about election, but not now. Because if you put the cart before the horse, as they say, or the horse, whatever, you do it the wrong way. If you start thinking, no, we already have a country, it is already independent, and let's talk about constitution and election. No, you don't. That's not the time for that.
So how do you, for example, now I'm going to go to the practical question, what can we do? So for example, I have a couple of friends here. I have many Syrian friends, but some in leadership, positions. So I can talk to them. I says, look, so it doesn't happen what happened in Tunisia. We're happy for you and this and that. Because it's a very emotional discussion right now. It's basically, look, brother, we are happy, we're free, you should be happy for us, you should not. We're not like Tunisia, we're not like Egypt, and it's basically like that. So how can you reach out to them, and more maybe at your level, Sheikh, you might have people in leadership position that could reach out to Syria maybe. Is there such a dialogue going on?
Well, I am trying. Some brothers are trying, and I'm trying to get this message across to the best of my ability. I mean, I'm very limited in terms of my outreach, but whatever I can do, I'm trying to do it. I hope to see like we can start something even from here, from the Syrian in this location. And then I have practical suggestions for all these organizations that were established before. This is the time to come together and form this new entity. I mean, we were established to do human rights work. We were established to do advocacy work. We were established to do relief work. Now all of this is not needed anymore. I mean, this is the moment now we can merge and say, okay, whatever you have on the ground whatever network you have on the ground, let's use it to organize the whole population, but organize it around this agenda that, guys, we are ready to go out every Friday, like we did during the revolution, to tell you, نحن هنا, we are here. Don't ignore the people, because we are the stakeholder. We are the ones who own this country, and we are not gonna let any agenda that runs against our aspirations to be implemented. If it takes to do that every week, I'm for it. Like every week, you know, during the time of revolution, they used to do every Jumu'ah. They come to
Yes, 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 yes.
you can do the same thing. And they say that if you're trying to replace a dictatorship with another one, it's not going to happen. If you're thinking that we're going to accept a fake democracy, it's not going to happen. If you're going to split the cake between global, regional, and local powers and keep us out of it, it's not going to happen.
And just to add one more, we need only one Syria. We don't need 4 to 8 Syrias.
Absolutely.
Between sects.
Yes,
Definitely, brother. And that's
I
why
told
I
you
mean,
this time the language should be language that is national, patriotic. It's about Syria and about our future. I don't care about your beliefs. I don't care about your convictions. I don't care about which region from or about your sect. Nowadays, we are Syrian. We have a window of opportunity to achieve the dreams of generations. Let's not miss this opportunity, because only Allah knows when it's going to happen again.
So the issue, brother Muhammad, that I see, this is the language that Al-Julani is speaking right now. You know, I've seen him in the interviews everywhere, and this is the language he's using. You know, one Syria, one military, you know, the way he's dealing with the Kurds. And so now, how do you put the pressure? Let's do what you said you will do, even if it's not you that's going to be the leader. So
They're
that's
going
really
to speak. They're going to speak. They're going to speak that language. حتى يسحبوا البساط من عندك.
Exactly.
So that if you come and say this, they will tell you that he's already saying that.
No, brother. The reason I'm saying, I know I have very sincere Syrians here that I meet. We party together, we're happy together, we did this at the masjid. But anytime you start saying, they will tell you, look, brother, أهل مكة أدرى بشعابها, he knows what he's doing.
I know.
So it's very, very difficult to really engage in that discussion.
I know.
Yes,
Especially
yes.
the emotions are very high.
Yes, and so this is because they tell, well, that's what he's saying he's gonna do. He's doing
unfortunately, this is not. Unfortunately, I personally, this is not the first time I find myself doing this. When I had this discussion in Tunisia in 2011, everybody was telling me the same thing. Oh, you are overseas. We know here. No, things are going to work. And we are very, very optimistic, and etc. And I say, well begun is half done. We are heading in the wrong direction.
And they tell you, give him time. Give him time.
Yeah, give him time, and we are happy. Regardless of what happened, we are happy because now we can say whatever we want and nobody's going to arrest us. As I said, guys, this is a freedom that was stolen from you. You get it back. That should not become should be your goal or your ultimate goal. It's your absolute right. Was stolen from you. You gain it back. Good. Celebrate. Congratulations. But move on.
Yes, I think the Syrians are so happy, cannot believe what happened, because they got rid of the regime, and that's why they're so emotional, and that's why they say أهل مكة أدرى بشعابها, because they cannot believe what happened so far.
I like to see some wise people are starting asking the question. And they are opening for advice, and among them, they started asking because they see every day it's something new unfolding. And the worst thing to happen is for people to see what is planned for them being executed, and they're just watching. And wait
I'd
and
like
see.
to hear from the Syrian thinkers, scholars, or others, anybody, maybe about the subject of why what's the story? What can we learn from a story of Egypt or sort of Tunis or other stories of the Arab Spring or the Arab revolutions? Is it really the Arab revolutions are really very challenging to implement in terms of like a successful story? I'd like to.
Good. I told you that a lot of them, they start that discussion now among themselves, because again, they start waking up. What Israel has done the next day pushed some people to wake up. This very intensive work of polishing Julani and his hay'a, it's being done very aggressively and very fast, is also causing people to say, wait a minute, what's going on here? Just the things that happened in the last week made some people start, now what can we do? Because now we are not doing anything. Now we are watching and celebrating, but we are just wake up in the morning to see what's happening next. But we're not the actors. We're not making things happen. And that's what need to change quickly, that the Syrian people should quickly become a factor, and they should not be marginalized or sidelined and plan in their absence, because that's what's happening.
Take their future in their own hands.
Yes.
I know that we are kind of like over time, but what is the timetable? Because again, to be fair, and to be fair to these people, it's like it's been a week and this is their second week or whatever. So what is their time? Is there like a timetable that we can say, or they can say themselves, not me, that they can decide? It's like, this is what needs to be implemented by now.
They say March 1st, Sheikh. This is what I heard.
But brothers,
no. If the Syrian are going to watch this game is not gonna end. As I said, it's gonna be like the peace process.
Yeah.
March 1st, we'll start the negotiation to form a new government. Government will be muhassasa. Have all the groups represented. Put it in place.
Sheikh, I'm sorry.
Let me finish. It's finished. It takes a months to put it in place, and then it will collapse in few months, because no government will function like that.
He said, Julani, I heard him say, I'm not missionist Siddish. I will not fall under muhassasa problem.
Yeah. No. Forget about what Julani is saying. I mean, all of this can disappear in no time. I mean, he changed 180 degrees from Qaeda and Daesh. You expect him that every word he's going to say now is going to stick to it? No. These are words we have heard them before, and this rousy picture, whatever people want to hear, I'm going to tell them now, and I'm going to make everybody happy. My message to Israel, make them happy. To the Kurd, make them happy. To the Syrian, make them happy. To the Americans, make everybody happy. But that's not. We have seen this movie before, so we can't be fooled with that. All right, inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, to make it an exceptional success story. We can only share whatever we have as thoughts or advice, and then we wish and hope and pray for the best outcome.
Ameen. Barakallah feek, Sheikh.
Jazakumullah khair, inshallah.
Are we having this on a regular basis? I'm sorry to ask because I'm joining first time, but
yeah, every Sunday. Yeah.
Same time?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come to this group, and I wish more good discussions, inshallah, down the road.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.